The launch of Star Wars Battlefront II has been both turbulent and complicated. With heroes locked behind grueling credit grinds, microtransactions incepting the progression system, and the consequent bad publicity, the actual fundamental experience has been significantly marred. Taking this all into account, as well as my over 15 hours with the game, I want to give you my first impressions of the title and some of my experience within it so far. This video is unscripted and I'm simply going to take you through my opinions on some of the game's key components. First and foremost then, I'd like to start by kind of talking about the story campaign. Now, unlike its predecessor, Star Wars Battlefront 1, EA have come in with the second Battlefront and given us a story campaign. Now, we follow the story of Imperial Iden Versio, and we're actually shown the side of the Imperials for once, rather than this kind of good versus evil, playing as the Rebels and the Jedi that we usually have in a Star Wars campaign. And basically you pick up her, she's an Imperial elite commander in charge of Special Forces squad known as Inferno Squadron, and you kind of pick up her story literally as the second Death Star explodes, and you're kind of following her and her squadron literally in the aftermath of this what is a devastating event for the Empire. And just like in the main game, you'll kind of be taken through infantry, where basically you're playing as a soldier on foot, you're playing as Iden, you can equip certain star cards to her, and again you're going through different levels and, defeating enemies. As well as this, you'll have space battles, so Iden will hop in a TIE fighter and you'll kind of engage in these massive dogfights, and they are really quite a highlight of the campaign. Overall, what they really have nailed is the authenticity and the kind of graphics of the campaign. It's absolutely stunning. Everything you see and everything you hear is authentic to the Star Wars universe, and that's what they've really nailed here with the campaign. It's incredible graphics. So this hero, infantry and starfighter combat are the key parts. As I said, heroes. You'll even get to play as heroes in some sections of the campaign, and from what I've played so far, it's thoroughly enjoyable. Whilst it's not anything revolutionary, what I've actually played is really, really good fun. And I've also heard that it's not too long, but as I said, I'm probably about 2-3 hours into it. And there's been some twists and turns along the way, but relatively predictable. I wouldn't say it's the most complicated of Star Wars stories, but essentially what you've got here is quite a tightly woven Imperial narrative that kind of takes you through basically a Star Wars story. So I'm really, really happy with what I've played so far, and I'm actually looking forward to kind of finishing this and kind of working out where Iden's story, an Imperial commander, is actually going to go. Next on my list then is gameplay mechanics, and essentially kind of talking about what has been innovated upon in the second iteration of Battlefront and what has kind of been stayed the same. So essentially, the major thing that we've got with Battlefront 2 is character classes. Now there's 4 of them: the Assault class, the Specialist class, the Heavy class, and the Officer class. I'm trying to remember that 4th one. And essentially, they're very, very different in how they are utilised in the multiplayer scenarios and in how you play them. So the Officer, for example, is more of a support-based character, whilst the Assault's kind of a good all-rounder. And whilst these are stereotypes that we've seen in many, many other games, I actually really, really like this in Battlefront, and I thought it really innovated off kind of what the basic principle we had in Battlefront 1. So character classes then, I'm playing as the Heavy, and I haven't really strayed much other than that. I kind of quite like the Sniper class, which is the Specialist. You can use that for kind of long range maps, and there are some, especially on the Galactic Assault maps, Kashyyyk, and I believe it is Hoth. You've got these big outdoor open areas where you can kind of use that kind of scope of the Specialist class in order to take down enemies. But other than that, as I said, I've been playing as the Heavy class. And this is basically a kind of slightly more armoured class. It's got a portable shield, which is really useful ability, and as well as that, it's got kind of just a heavy blaster, and it can take a few more shots. So that's the class I've been using, and ironically I have actually just been playing that one. Despite having all this extra class and more kind of depth in terms of characters you play as, I've actually only been playing one. But nevertheless, the other big thing that they've changed is battle points, and this kind of system about how you earn heroes. In the previous game, everyone would kind of run toward these tokens that would appear on the maps during the games, and you try and get these tokens, and that would allow you to then spawn in as a hero character. That system is no more. As we've seen in the beta, you now, basically for your progression, collect battle points. Now, what I really, really like about this system is it encourages players to play the objective. Brilliantly, I actually found myself using the iron torpedoes to try and take down MTTs, ATT walkers, etc., in order to actually earn these battle points, because the more you play the objective, the more you actually earn these. And that was a really, really influential thing. And once you've got enough of these points, you can then spawn in as hero characters or reinforcement characters. And this was a great system in motivating the player, or myself, to actually play the objective and kind of work towards these points. And it gave you quite a good goal. And ultimately, the hero characters are really what I like best about Battlefront. And I was always trying to kind of work toward playing as one of these characters, or even if I didn't have enough credits for a hero character, I'd perhaps go for one of the reinforcement characters, which are arguably just as fun to play as. You've got kind of the Wookiees for the rebels, Death Troopers, Jet Troopers, and I think even Super Battle Droids as well, so these are brilliant characters as well. But then, in terms of just the overall gameplay mechanics, your shooting is just as solid as it was in the previous game. Battlefront is not a particularly complicated shooter in terms of recoil and all this and everything, but you know, there's attachments in this game that weren't in the previous game. There's a hell of a lot more weapons, and as I said, class specific weapons as well, so someone playing as a specialist is going to play very differently to an assault class or a heavy class, for example. And I really, really liked these changes and thought the gameplay mechanics were definitely a positive point of the game that has really innovated off Battlefront 1. Okay, now whilst all things before have been kind of bright and beautiful, I now go on to some of the more controversial stuff. Progression and kind of star cards. What are these kind of systems that are in place in the game? So first of all, I would like to go through the star card system. Now this has been changed quite considerably since the first Battlefront. I mean, they're still called star cards, which is a bit annoying. I'd rather just have abilities, but whatever. EA have decided to include star cards again, and basically these can change your abilities, so they can might upgrade the heavy shield, as I was talking about earlier, so that it's a longer duration or a shorter refresh time, or they might give you completely different abilities, so it might replace the shield with the barrage, like a grenade launcher type thing. And actually, on the whole, there's actually a hell of a lot more star cards than there was in the first game. So for each individual class, I'd say there's probably maybe 12 star cards that you can unlock. But unlock, that's where the trouble comes in. Unlocking these star cards is not by playing 15 hours of the heavy that you then unlock certain star cards for the heavy. Unfortunately, the progression is all intertwined in the loot crate system, and I think that's where Battlefront's really picked up its criticism, because essentially you can pay to win. I mean, that is a problem. I know people are throwing around that on the internet in controversial terms toward Battlefront, and I don't think it's a controversial term, but I just think there is that kind of option to pay to win, because people are paying, opening these crates and unlocking these star cards, and therefore, you know, upgrading them at a faster rate. Now, I do understand the argument that in order to upgrade these star cards, you've got to be certain levels, and in order to be certain levels, you've still got to play the game. But I just feel like there is that kind of underhand element going on, that, you know, people can unlock loot crates and kind of be a lot more powerful than kind of starting out players. But it doesn't hinder the game. I think in terms of actual content, there's a hell of a lot more star cards there, there's a hell of a lot more abilities for your characters, and ultimately there's just more creativity and more fun. More things to experiment with as troopers, and more troopers themselves. So actually, I think, although the system's ultimately flawed because of its implementation with microtransactions and this loot crate system, you know, this randomised thing, it's flawed, but there are definitely positives to it, and I think the quantity of star cards is good, and I think actually some of the actual abilities that they've used in the new game are good as well. I very much like using kind of the upgraded shield, as I said earlier. But the loot crates themselves, they just really, really hinder the progression. They're intertwined somewhere where they don't need to be. Loot crates should only be, as we've seen in other major games, for cosmetic items, and as of speaking right now, EA have suspended microtransactions in the game, which I think is a really good thing. Honestly, they're listening to the players. I really do feel for some of the developers at DICE, because they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. When you've got a publisher pushing for you to kind of get these microtransactions in, and a studio need to be working on this game for kind of another year, and you've got the fans who are saying, we don't like this, we're going to boycott your game, what do? I mean, they've suspended microtransactions, and I think that is kind of maybe a little bit in regard to the fans, but also I think Disney might have been involved in that as well. There's rumours kind of circulating at the moment that perhaps, you know, lead developers at DICE were in communication with kind of members at Disney, and these conversations were happening. But nevertheless, in terms of what my opinion on the actual progression system, it's flawed, but what DICE have actually put in there is good. It's just the way they've gone about doing it. And the new credit system as well, you kind of get credits and loot crates, and depending on your score in games, I don't actually find that my score in a game is reflective of how many credits I earn at the end. I think there's possibly a few bugs still there and some kind of progression ideas to work through. But ultimately this credits, crystals and loot crate system just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. If the loot crates were cosmetic and you were buying kind of skins for your troops and all these things, then I think that's a lot better. But actually the system that's in place, you're paying for extra abilities and you're paying for faster access to these kind of things, which just doesn't make the game, it hinders the game at anything. And I understand people's distaste, but we really mustn't let that hinder what the fundamental thing with the game is, that they have actually innovated on these kind of star cards and what actual abilities you can use with troopers, so that is one good thing. Next then, I want to briefly kind of go over the content that is in the game. What was really controversial about Battlefront 1 is its lack of content in the base game. Now, EA have committed to supporting Battlefront 2 throughout the near future, basically, in giving it free content. The first update of which is going to be coming in December, and features The Last Jedi, so the new film. We're going to be having Finn and Phasma, as well as a couple of new maps, one for Starfighter Assault and one for Galactic Assault. But essentially, what have we actually got in the base game? Well, I can tell you that content is not a problem. Whilst it was in the first game, in this game it is not. We've got way over double the maps, weapons and modes we had in the first game. All of them are larger in scale, arguably better in detail. They are really, really well designed, and there's just absolutely no problems there. The maps are brilliant. There's a wide variety of them. They're across all three Star Wars eras, from the prequels, the new trilogy to the original trilogy. The only kind of comment I would have is that the map rotation in Galactic Assault is a bit skew-if. Okay, it doesn't quite work. I find myself, I haven't even played Starkiller Base yet. I've got over 15 hours in this game and I haven't played Starkiller Base yet. It doesn't seem to rotate the maps equally. I just don't understand. I seem to be playing Theed a lot, and what's the other one I play? Theed and Kashyyyk a lot, and I'm not going to complain about Kashyyyk because it is a brilliant map. It's probably the best looking map in the game, and you've got all the Wookiees running around, and it's brilliant. You know, it really, really does capture this authenticity, and that was my favourite thing. But maps, weapons and modes, you absolutely have nothing to worry about. Even hero characters, there's more of them in this game. There's 14 altogether, 7 villains, 7 heroes, and you've got the likes of Darth Maul, Iden Versio from the main campaign, Vader, Luke. You've got all the ones from the previous game, but then you've also got these new ones like Maul and Yoda, and I mean, that just says it all. They're so fun to play, and they really, really are some of my highlights of the game. I mean, Yoda zips around, he's really hard to shoot, and Maul is just an absolute tank. Okay, he's got no defensive abilities, but he doesn't need them. He runs in and he's got these offensive capabilities that you can go on massive kill streaks. But content, honestly, absolutely nothing to worry about here. Really, really positive.
Are you offering me a job?
Last but not least then, I'd just like to kind of summarise my thoughts. So I appreciate I've been waffling on for quite a while now. This video is going to be a long one, I'm afraid, but I just want to kind of summarise. So, Battlefront has been plagued by these microtransactions, okay, and I couldn't go through this first impressions without mentioning them. EA have now turned them off. EA have now reduced the hero lock, okay, I didn't mention that earlier, but EA have reduced the amount of credits it takes to unlock heroes, because again, it's causing massive controversy. Personally, I didn't think it's a big issue, but for some people it absolutely was. But again, EA have listened to that, DICE have changed it, implemented these new hero locks, reduced them by 75%, again, that's not an issue. In my 15 hours, I've already unlocked, I think, most of the heroes, except possibly Palpatine, but he's not my favourite. So, that's been changed, and the microtransactions have been suspended. Now, they are temporary, and I believe they will come back, but I have this hope that they will come back with cosmetic changes, i.e. there's going to be only cosmetic items in the crates, and everything in regard to progression and abilities and gameplay will be saved for actually the hours you play in the game and the credits you earn. So this is actually really positive, and what I take out of this is that the game is brilliant. All the maps look stunning. I mean, Kashyyyk, as I said earlier, is gorgeous. Hoth is gorgeous. I mean, they're really, really intricately designed, you know, full of Easter eggs and Star Wars authenticity. The game sounds great. It's a joy to play. It's a real joy to play as a team shooter and as this kind of brilliant game. But it's just really held down by these microtransactions and these loot boxes. I just don't understand why they were put in. But I don't think that's a reason you should boycott the game. And I don't think it's a reason why you should not play Star Wars Battlefront. Perhaps don't pick it up instantaneously. Perhaps wait for a couple of these DLC seasons to drop. But Battlefront 2 is something you should be playing. It's a really, really great game. brilliant game. What they've innovated from the first game is just phenomenal. I mean, everything that we said about the first game, from the story campaign all the way to the amount of heroes and even kind of modes and maps, has been innovated upon, has been changed. So honestly, I personally couldn't ask for more. I just feel it's actually quite a shame that it's been overshadowed by this controversy and this bad publicity, because actually what is actually there is solid gold, to be honest. It's really well executed Star Wars. Really well executed Star Wars. And that's about all I have to say. So if you have the chance, pick up the game. Obviously I'm going to be publishing my overall review in the future, hopefully. But I hope this kind of gives you an idea of just the start of Battlefront, your first few hours into the game, and whether you should pick it up, because ultimately you really should. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.